Okay, we are starting. And for those of you in the virtual audience, there's energy here in the room, and I had to ask everyone to be quiet so we could start. So we have started. So if any of you are out there and would like to let me know that you are out there, I will do a very special spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer for you. Should you be the first one to let me know that you are there? So I am looking forward to seeing who's there when you're there. And in the meantime, for our studio audience, for what shall I do this opening treatment?
Clarity.
Clarity.
New apartment, so whatever.
Well, for the whole group, do you want us all to move? Let's think about that. What was that?
Belonging.
Huh?
Yeah, belonging.
Belonging. So what did I get? Clarity and belonging. And health. Okay, Margie, you have one. Are you on your way here? Okay. So thank you. Oh, we have 4 viewers. Okay, so there's 4 people here. That's great. All right, so I'm going to do a spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer for each of us for clarity, belonging, health. And love. That's it. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's experiment. If there is anything else you would like to have me included, don't say it, but see if it comes out of me. All right, Angela. Okay, you also have one, a spiritual mind treatment. So feel free to collect whenever. Okay. This word is being spoken for each one. And if there is anyone that you would like to have included, think of their name now. Or any place or situation on the planet. Just think of that now. And know that this word includes them because it is that infinite presence that is responding and making every word of truth spoken into expression. One mind. That mind is a thinker, a knower, and what it thinks, it creates. And this mind is always thinking with crystal clarity because what is created is with specific in every detail. It is this amazing clarity into minutiae details that could not even be comprehended by any human being. This is the mind, the intelligence that is thinking right now. And the law of this mind is creating what is thought into form. And so there is now the benefits of this crystal clarity thinking everywhere. And that thinking is present right now in through as each one. It is the thinking of this infinite mind that is creating each one, not the thinking of any individual, but the thinking of this infinite mind that is able to create a body according to a perfect pattern, divinely engineered and designed. And this is what this mind is thinking now that is causing each one to be in expression. And so this infinite mind is thinking with its crystal clarity, and that form that emerges as a result of the divine thinker's thinking is an expression of health, vitality. It is a form that harmoniously operates always in perfect right order and divine right action. Each and every created thing that takes up time, space, is in time, space, that perfect place, that perfect time for harmonious interaction and relationship with every other created thing. There is no chaos, there is no miscommunication, there is no confusion, and there is no competition. There is only this divine thinker instantaneously knowing itself, and it being an infinite thinker. This is why it is an infinite expression of universe in infinite detail. And so each one is that healthy manifestation of what the divine thinker is thinking. And this includes thinking of everything, every nose, every eye, every mouth, every throat, every stomach, every organ, every lung, every heart, every limb, every muscle, bone, sinew, every nerve, every aspect, thought in that divine mind according to its perfect pattern, healthfully expressing and operating in perfect right order and divine right action. This thinker gives of itself, of its thoughts, form. And this is the ultimate and the absolute description of love. Love, the self-givingness of spirit, giving of itself, of its thoughts into form. And that which is created, each one here, is continuing to receive the benefits of the infinite thinker's thinking. So its thoughts in creating each one are still being thought by that infinite mind. No one need be thinking what the infinite mind is creating, because the infinite mind is thinking it, and each one is accepting it and allowing this infinite mind to perfectly outpicture those highest ideas of itself, those ideas that it wants, that it loves to think, and lovingly creates in form. This is the truth of each one. Each one is a crystal clear manifestation of the divine thinker's thoughts, and so it is obvious. This divine thinker, this one mind, this one life is love. It is life expressed. It is power and peace. It is joy and harmony. It is beauty manifesting everywhere. And anything that is created is all these qualities arranged in a particular pattern. And each one that is created always to be in harmony with everything else. That means each one is always in the right place at the right time, saying and doing the right thing to experience, participate, and co-create in an expression of the highest and greatest good of all. This is the divine successfully creating its creation and expressing itself through it. This is the divine, loving itself, declaring, I am that I am, and loving that which it is seeing itself being. That divine loving presence loves each one, loves its creation. Each one is, in truth, the divine's beloved one, cherished one, blessed one. And each one is provided and supported on every level of being. That divine creating the universe and everything in it is also the cause and the creator of humanity and all the things that humanity is using, including business, technology, financial institutions, money. This divine creator is the creator of money and internet and wireless interactions. It is still God that is the creator. And so the divine creator creates it all to support humanity in expressing its divinity in human expression, to create more and more a life that is loved. Every profession, every expression has as its cause, as its source, at its motivating origination, a desire to lovingly express that great I am that I am. And so all confused thoughts about it, all belief that life should look some way, as well as any and all rejection of that which the divine is creating, as well as any unconscious or conscious resistance, rejection, rebellion to one's good, to one's support, to one's blessings, any belief that someone is not good enough or a bad person, or any and all belief that one does not deserve the blessings from this divine. All those beliefs and their effects and consequences are by this word erased, evaporated, and vanished. Each one is God's life personified. And all of its blessings are given whether one accepts it or not. The gift is given. And in this realization, each one accepts gratefully, humbly, sweetly, generously, and with a full, immense embodiment of how much one is loved. Each one accepts these gifts that are the gifts of life. Each one is loved, lovable, and loving, and enjoying this gift of life, and with the divine thinker's thoughts, agreeing and thereby allowing more and more of an expression of life that the created being loves completely. In other words, because the divine loves and loves each one specifically, each one is being given now permission to love their life completely. Love their body, their soul, their heart, their mind, their expression, their career, their friends, their family, their activities, their opportunities, their support, their money, their things and stuff, loving the operation, the principles, the MOs, loving all that is a part of this life. And so this is truth, and I am grateful that this is the truth. I release this word to that loving law, that infinitely intelligent and powerful law, knowing it is done, and it is done really good, and so it is. So it is. And that's the way it is. And good morning to Joaquina from California. So, are you back in California yet, Joaquina? All right, let's move forward. Reverend Rich is ready to sing us in.
I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
And so we take a moment now and consciously choose to open our hearts and be aware of what's in there. And if there is a desire for greater good, to open to receive it. And if there are some thoughts, beliefs that cross your mind, it's not so, it shouldn't happen, blah, 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 just be open to letting them go. And just allow that which is within your heart be on the table, and open yourself to receive the fulfillment. And so it is.
I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Susan Niedt. I'm a practitioner at CSL Princeton, and, well, welcome. We are a loving, healing, inclusive community that teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the spiritual growth and well-being of ourselves and the world. And we do that with love. We do that by having our wonderful services and our amazing Reverend Karen. And that was, thank you, Reverend Karen. You hit everything I asked for. Infinite Mind knows all. And of course, practitioner sessions, requesting affirmative prayer, classes, meditations. We have it for you. So do take advantage of it. I have a few announcements. The next meditation, the Tuesday night meditations at 7 o'clock, is Tuesday the 13th. We start at 7 and we end around 7:15. It's just a lovely little boost to the day. On June 25th, we have a special Sunday. Reverend Rich. I voice activated this. I'm not going to read what it really says. But join us in creating a musical interactive event with Reverend Rich. We're going to sing and chant right. I said that kind of backwards, but I think
We're going home.
We're going home. There was a little, we've had energy around this room today. And on July 11th, we have our wonderful memorial service for our beloved Irene Pierce. And that will, July 11th. So, listen, I got to tell you something about the past 2 months. I've had several FGOs. Is that not the date?
No idea.
Oh,
You're on your own.
what?
You share, but you go ahead.
Well, that's what I have written down, but look, we have,
July 16th.
oh, see, 11th probably isn't even a,
It's not.
so that's just a typo. You know, are you going to try to take me seriously now? Okay, everybody take a deep breath. We can do this. We are just so alive here today. I just want to let you know. We are alive in love, in energy, and that's what we are. And no judgment. So I learned a new acronym, FGO. I learned it at another CSL. I'm not going to tell you what it really stands for, but what I say it stands for is Fabulous Growth Opportunity. And I have had many opportunities in the past 2 months for fabulous growth opportunities. And yes. And so I, by the grace of a wonderful practitioner session with beloved Reverend Karen, I was able to step out of my deep judgment and calling these things bad. And I was in a state, and we've all been there, where we just have a apparent challenge and we cannot move out of the idea of challenge into opportunity of going deeper. What is there more to know of? So with all that, I decided I would share a story and a few words I read in Joel Goldsmith's book, Contemplative Life. And it's a story that we've heard before. In fact, in the 8 years that I've been here, maybe it's even 9 now, I've heard it at least twice up here, once by Reverend Karen and once by John Heron. It is a fable of a Chinese farmer. So I figured because you might have all heard it before, we'd turn it into an audience participation opportunity. So that's the energy. So when the farmer says, maybe yes, maybe no, that's your chance. So I'm going to say, and the farmer said, and you're going to say, maybe yes, maybe no. Got that? Let's try that one more time. Maybe yes, maybe no. Okay. So there was a farmer, a wonderful farmer who had a wonderful horse, strong horse that could pull the plow in the fields. And all his neighboring farmers came to him and they said, wow, you are so blessed. You have this wonderful horse that can pull the plows. And the farmer said, maybe yes, maybe no. And a few days later, the horse ran away. And the neighbors come back and they say, what a tragedy. You have no more horse to plow the fields. And the farmer said, maybe yes, maybe no. And wouldn't you know it, but a few days later, the horse comes back and he brought 7 more horses with him. Strong, wonderful horses. And the neighbors were, whoa, what a gift you have just received. This is so great. And the farmer said, maybe yes, maybe no. And wouldn't you know it, his son, a young adult, strapping male, was on that horse trying to train it, break it in, and he fell and broke his leg. And the neighbors came and they said, oh, what a tragedy. Who's going to help you with the farm? And the farmer said, maybe yes, maybe no. And then, a few days later, there was a war breaking out in the land. And so the government comes and they're drafting people to go into the war as soldiers. And they come to the farm to draft the son. And they said, we can't draft your son. He has a broken leg. And the story goes on like that. And so, and so it goes. So that is just an example of not attaching any idea of judgment or good or evil to an event or an opportunity. And Joel Goldsmith, I'm going to read it directly because it's just brilliant. Chapter 8, if you happen to have contemplative life. He says another great illustration of this concept is, wouldn't you all agree that winning $1 million would be a great thing? Right? But then he went on to say, maybe yes, maybe no. Because then he told stories of how it ruined people's lives. And you've seen it happen. You've read it in the news. So he says, we have to unsee the humanly good appearances to the same degree as we unsee the humanly evil ones. Spiritually discerned, there is neither good nor evil. Maybe yes, maybe no. And it is on this premise that the entire spiritual universe is built. When we are confronted by appearances, whether the appearance is called good or evil, we are being confronted with a human appearance. And if we would bear witness to the presence of God, we must do nothing. We must think nothing. We must have no judgment. He went on to say that let's not confuse this with not working and being lazy, but we know that, so I'll skip that part. In order to make ourselves nothing, we must immediately realize within ourselves there is neither good nor evil. There is only God, only good. And that's something we're just learning in our Emma class. Then as we look out at the erroneous appearance with no judgment, there truly is neither good nor evil. There is only the presence of God. And now the Father within can perform its function. And its function is to dissolve the appearance and reveal God's glory. Reveal its own being. And we say in our teaching, let go, let God. Or we say, thy will, not my will. And we can also say, maybe yes, maybe no. So thank you for being here. It's a privilege to have an opportunity to speak with you. Enjoy the service.
Everywhere is holy ground, for I walk in love. Everywhere is holy ground, for the power and the presence of your Spirit makes my path gentle and gentle. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for I walk in joy. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for the power and the presence of your Spirit makes my life gentle and easy, gentle. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for I walk in peace. Everywhere I am is holy ground, the power and the presence. Yeah, take that out, aren't you? Makes my life gentle and easy, gentle, easy. Got home late last night.
even with late nights. Good morning. I'm Stefanie Lachenauer, and I'm a practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living. I am so excited to be with you today. It's been a little while. So today we're talking a little bit about perspective, and I was thinking a lot about what that meant. And so when I think about perspective, it's often what I teach in the classroom. So maybe you've seen those pictures where you look at it and there's two different pictures in it, right? So one side might be something if you're looking from one angle, and the other side is something else. So we usually start with that. And then I was thinking, well, what does that mean spiritually? Like, what is the actual image there? So then I was thinking about what we might see here is the relative, right? And so behind that is what the divine truth is, right? So we have like our little t truth, like this is what we see, this is just our reality. But there is that divine truth. And when we're experiencing different things, sometimes we have things that happen that are the FGOs. And sometimes we look at them and we think that they're not great things. And Emma Curtis Hopkins reminds us that we demand to see our good, that there's good in it. So to get more, I went to, of course, our textbook, and I want to read this section to you. And some of it touches a little bit more on what Susan shared as well. So, that one mind in action. And it's right here. Okay. All right, so this law we did not make and we cannot change. But this teaching should not be confused with the idea that we can show people how to get what they want, regardless. True prayer must be, "Thy will be done." But the implication relative to the will of God in this prayer is not a submission to the inevitability of evil or limitation. It is a knowledge that the will of God is always good. How do we know what the will of God is? We do not, other than this: the will of God cannot be death. Why? Because if we assume God to be the principle of life cannot produce death without destroying itself. The will of life has only to be life. The will of that which is infinite can never be finite. Everything then should tend to expansion and multiplication in the divine plan. That is the will of God. It has to be beauty, truth, and harmony, as Troward said, as this is the true relationship of the whole to the parts and the parts to the whole. Therefore, we should interpret the will of God to be everything that expresses life without hurt. This seems to be a fair, logical, sane, and intelligent criterion. Anything that will enable us to express greater life, greater happiness, greater power, so long as it does not harm anyone, must be the will of God for us. As much life as one can conceive will become part of this experience. So, our life moves from good to greater good, and that is the truth, as much as we have in our consciousness. And so I'll say a spiritual mind treatment to help us to move forward. So this word is being spoken for each one present and each one watching. There is one life, one divine spirit, and that spirit is the creator of all there is. That spirit is divine love. It is power. It is creation. It is joy. It is divine wisdom. And that spirit lives, moves, and breathes through each one of its creations. And each one of God's creations is good. When God created the world and each part of it, he declared it is good. Therefore, all of God's creations are good. And that good is moving through each one right here and right now. Each one's life moves from good to greater good by ways and means of good. Each one's life sees and experiences more love, more power, more joy, more clarity. And each of these divine gifts of God is moving through each one right here and right now, and shows up in each one's life in greater ways than before throughout this week. I am so grateful that this is the truth. I release this word to the law, knowing it is done, and so it is.
Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would be the holy word. He consecrates the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. The only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still, but now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better match trick that anything has here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in the sea of it. It used to be a world half there, having second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverend there, 'cause everything is holy now. 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 Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. Well, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning comes and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird singing like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when the church let out, how things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. 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 Introducing the one, the only Reverend Dr. Karen Kushner.
Woo! Applause, 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 applause. All right, so hello again, everybody. And Clee, Robert, glad to see you here. I think you've got everyone who's checked in virtually. So, yeah, we've got a lot of energy here. It's spring. And we look outside and we see the evidence of the divine's desire for more. More. And it's arranged all the seasons for this moment of more. And so I had a thought a little while ago that maybe we could play around with the idea that maybe God's name is more. More. The divine is a creator. It's always creating more. and it's infinite. So its creation is continuously more, more, more. Maybe that's God's name. I am that I am. More and more and more, I am that I am. So with that thought there, our topic today is choosing to change your perspective. And it came from listening to these books that are being read online continuously, and they never say, there's this little group that's just reading these books, and they'll never tell you what book it is they're reading or who's doing the reading. I think it's because maybe they're not supposed to be doing that, but or maybe copyright law won't let them say who it is. I don't know what their deal is, but they're just reading these books, and I've been listening to them, and there were a lot of them this week talking about changing your perspective. And one of them had this story I had never heard of before, but I know you've heard of similar stories. In fact, Susan's little horse and the farmer story is kind of like that. Is it good? Is it bad? Who knows? It depends on your perspective, in a sense. And then what Stefanie shared, so Mary, didn't it sound an awful lot like what you've memorized from Troward? So we know that Ernest Holmes pulled Troward's words out of his mouth and put them in his book like he did everything else, but he never said that he was the source of all these ideas. He's always said, I'm just bringing them all together, synthesizing them, and, maybe expressing it a little bit more easily, more. So that divine presence is creating more of an expression of itself. That's what everything we're seeing in the universe. It's more and more of a universe, more and more space, more and more ideas, more and more intricate, complex creative activities going on, more and more variables that are part of a delightful dance of balance, of order, of harmony, of beauty, more and more. And so these divine qualities, more life, more love, more peace, more power, more harmony, more beauty, more joy, that desire for more is built into us. And if we have a perception that comes from human experience and the human race that you cannot have more, this divine impulse in us is frustrated. And we don't know what to do with it. And so, in choosing to change your perspective, what I invite you to do is, if a thought comes into your thinking while I'm talking of why you cannot have more, or why more in a particular regard would be bad or whatever, I invite you to consider who said that to you. Just consider the source of these ideas that have been given to you. So the story is a gentleman got onto the subway, tired from work. It was reasonably filled with people, and it chugged along and stopped. The doors opened, and this gentleman entered with 4 children who entered the subway, and the man sat down and proceeded to ignore his kids. And the kids got increasingly active and rambunctious, and eventually they were just running back and forth in the subway car, knocking into the gentleman's paper who was observing all of this, and he was just getting angrier, and all the other passengers were getting angrier, and everybody was trying to figure out what to do because these kids were out of control, and the father was not doing anything to stop them. And so the gentleman who was telling this story decided to say something finally, and he said, "Sir, I don't have any children. I don't know how to raise children, but it seems like your children are out of control. Can you do something?" And the father said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We just left the hospital. Their mother just died. I don't know how to deal with it. Clearly they don't either. You're right, I should be, but I just don't know. I can't right now, whatever." The perspective of the guy telling the story totally changed, right? Like, you were a little angry about those kids too, and the father that was letting them run around, right? You've been there, right? You've all been on that subway with those kids running around. And so the gentleman who's telling the story said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I could do? Is there any way I can help?" And off they went into that, and who knows what the kids were doing. But see, when you change your perspective to instead of what you think is going on, the ideas and the judgments and thoughts that you have in your head, when you make that choice to consider what is in the other person's head, what is their perspective, you open yourself up to possibly experiencing more love. And that's our beginning this summer of our series on more. Today it's about more love, but choosing more love and choosing in situations where you don't want to choose more love. So it has to be a conscious choice to change your perspective. So I invite you this coming week to look for annoying people in the world. I know that's going to be an effort, right? Because there's so few, right? But I invite you to look for annoying people. You might not be getting annoyed by them, or you may be getting annoyed by them. And I don't care. Any kind of annoying. If you have to really, if there's just no one you can find, turn the television on. So I want you to look at annoying people who are doing things that you think they should not be doing. And then your choice, and my challenge to you, is to come up with a reasonable explanation of why you would do a similar behavior. So thinking about you, if I were doing that, why would I be doing it? And of course, if I were doing that behavior, it's justified, right? It's rational. It makes sense. I've got my reasons, right? If someone walked a mile in my shoes, they would understand. Years ago, I had to play a woman in a play who had a rambunctious young daughter, 16 years old, I guess she was. She might have been a little bit younger or whatever. No, she was probably younger. But very, pretending like she's older. Anyway, she was sitting with an old ex-boyfriend of mine on the sofa, and he was, taking out some drugs to use them himself. And she said, "Can I have one?" to him. And my character was supposed to say, "Oh, let her have one." And I could not figure out how to say that line. I've never had children, so I couldn't figure it out. Well, eventually, our cast went and we saw the same play being produced by another group, and that actress absolutely knew how to say it. And the director looked at me, and she saw all the light bulbs go off, because I could see it, even though I couldn't describe it, I could see it, a parent saying it, a parent who is at the end of exhaustion and ready to just kill everything, and who just gives up and thinks, "Wow, let her have it, because I've had enough, and maybe it'll help." So don't do that. But that's what we want to. We want to be who we are. Be who we are. And if we were behaving that way, what would be going on with us? what would be going on with us that we would behave that way? And so that's the thing. I have noticed we humans do like to judge other people's behaviors. And we are filled with words like, they should know better. Or, that wasn't right. They should know that wasn't fair. They should do this, they should do that. And in doing all those shoulds with other people, it's a clue we're shoulding ourselves, right? We're saying I should lose weight. I should be healthier. I should be using this teaching better. I should be more advanced by now. You think I should have learned by now, right? We shoulds all over the place. But with this little exercise of choosing to change your perspective, we are looking how that human habit that we have of explaining and justifying ourselves while judging and condemning others for the same behavior. So how many of you have been cut off by a car on the road? Right? They should, right? And then how many of you have ever cut someone else off on the road? But you have your good reasons. They should understand that the people behind you were honking and that you've been sitting here for 10 minutes and it just was never a break and you really have to get to the hospital and you know, the ice cream's melting. You know, there's a lot of things. They should be nice to me and let me in. Have you ever been with that point of view? Right? But if they cut you off, have you ever been of the other point of view? What's wrong with these people? Don't they know how to drive? What the heck? You know, they ought to do, right? So our exercise in choosing more love is simultaneously in seeing that annoying behavior in another, understanding when we ourselves engage in that behavior, and then loving and blessing ourselves should we have engaged in that behavior, and then maybe something like that is going on with them. So it's changing that perspective so that, and it's the reason why I'm saying conscious is because we got to work at this, because something about us doesn't want to make it okay for the other person. We love to listen to our made-up story about the other person. And then we love to be right about it. We get committed to it. If someone really angers us, not only are we angry about what they did, but we get angry about the story we made up about what they did and why they did it. They're selfish. They never think of other people. Or, you know, that's just the way they are. Or, I know that person. I've seen that car before. Or, that car's following me. I don't know how many of you. I have the same car following me everywhere I go. It's the same car. I think all of you own that car because it's just always behind me or in front of me. And I was like, what's going on? Whatever. But see, we human beings are designed to be imaginative. Our minds love to imagine and make up stories. We want to become aware that that's a natural process in us, that imagination, and then to consciously take charge of it and start telling it what to imagine, and to imagine scenarios that are more loving than judging, criticizing, condemning, and self-rejecting, as well as rejecting of the others. I imagine that 99.1% of humans desire good and are trying to do good. But when they don't do it in a way that we can recognize, they've got their reasons. So too we, right? We all intend good. We want good, especially us. Look at us, we're here. We want good. We intend good. going through all this effort. We better get good, right? Or else we're not coming here anymore, right? So that's true of us. And we all know that sometimes we fall short, right? We've got our reasons. But we still intend good. I like the little affirmation for past mistakes of mine. If I knew better, I would have done better. But I didn't, so I couldn't. And my teacher, Dr. Stuart Grayson, used to tell us to say that about other people, our parents who raised us badly, whatever. If they knew better, they would have done better. But they didn't, so they couldn't. And yes, we could say that about all our friends and neighbors right now. If they knew better, they would do better, but they don't, so they can't. But we can say that about ourselves too. About over a year ago, maybe years now, who knows? I noticed when I was in the grocery store, I was always on edge. Let's get in, let's get out, people are in my way, I hate shopping, whatever. And I decided, okay, it always ends up with me waiting in line, and no matter how hard I estimate the speed of what's going on, I end up in the shortest line that takes the longest. And the whole time I'm there, waiting in that line, I'm checking the speed of the other lines around me. Anybody else do that? Do you ever imagine where you would have been in that line if you had stayed in that lane and had not moved into this lane, that you would have been out of here by now? And then you're looking at the people in front of you, and one person looks like they've never used money before in their lives. I mean, I get it, change is a new thing in this world, and very few people understand change, or writing a check, whatever. Okay, fine. So a number of years ago, I had the thought, divine thought, I don't like how I'm feeling. And this is my life while I'm in this line. And I don't like how I'm feeling. So let me change my perception. Let me change my goal. Let me choose to be in the store longer than anyone. And let me get in the lane that will take the longest. So I still do that. Since I have done that, I have enjoyed grocery shopping. I go through all the lanes, I check everything, now they've got a scanner so I can scan things, select things, pick things out, whatever. I can wander. I can graciously wait behind someone because they're in my spot at the frozen meat section or whatever, the frozen, those big refrigerator things, and they're in mine, and I can wait for them because I'm going to be in here the longest. And I've discovered since then, I am enjoying my grocery shopping. I am enjoying it. I love being there. And then, of course, what happens, my particular store, with the invention of the scanner, you don't even have to wait in line anymore. You are scanning all your items and packing them in your own bags before you even go to the checkout line. So I'm all done. And there is no checkout line because most people like to wait in line and be frustrated and angry. They're having that experience. So I just go there and I just show, the scanner, my scanner, and boom, I'm done. I'm done. And now they've made these money cards. I decided to call debit cards money cards. Money cards. Now I don't even have to stick it in the thing. Just tap it. Tap it. So I scan and I tap. I'm done. I'm out. I'm gone. So now I'm the shortest person in the store when my whole focus was to be the longest person in there. But now the real thing I decided was I need to enjoy my experience in the grocery store. So changing your perspective consciously means we're going to be using our mental faculty of thinking in a constructive way. We've got that mental faculty of thinking, evaluating, and imagining. And we are going to use these gifts of how we use our minds in a way that will give us an experience of more love, as well as more harmony, more peace, more joy, all the other qualities of God. God with a new name of more. God, more, the more. I'm getting chills. The more. And so we understand why that's within us, and we understand that desire within us for more is for us, and we make peace with it. And our first spiritual practice of the summer is to practice it with an area of life that does require us to be aware and alert, looking for those annoying people, and then to consciously choose to stop judging them, withdrawing our mental energy from that act of judging and condemning, and then to go in, if I were to behave that way, what would be motivating me? What could be going on in me that would make me behave that way? And then that's it. That's the practice. And then if you want to throw a little self-love in, and then let it spill over to that person who may or may not behave more or less annoyingly, I don't know. But by then you're not going to care, because you'll have experienced so much more love in you that it puts that person and what they're doing into better perspective. Right? Isn't that a sweet little practice? How many are going to do it? One hand raised. Two. 1, 2, 3. Oh, they thought it was one of those questions, right? I didn't know how many are you going to do it? Woo! 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 Okay, we got about 80%. Okay, out there. How many of you are going to do it? Are you even online anymore? Okay, so I'm going to do that too. We have to remember it. But if we forget, I promise you, there will be someone in the world who will annoy you so much you'll remember. That's what their job is right now, okay? So realizing all that, we're going to move forward. I had to say that because Reverend Rich was ready for me to go on and on and on and on. But we're moving forward. We're moving on here. And so Reverend Rich is going to sing another song, and then we're going to have John come forward, and then I'll do a closing treatment. So that's what we've got in line. So stay tuned. Reverend Rich, take us away.
We're doing this again. Grateful, 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 yes, I'm grateful. Grateful, 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 yes, I'm grateful. Grateful, grateful. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for abundance. Grateful for abundance. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for my money card. Grateful for my money card. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Look here, somebody's got some. There you go. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for my family. Grateful for my family. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for my friendships. Grateful for my friendships. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for my body. Grateful for my body. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful.
Grateful for my job.
Grateful for those annoying people. Grateful for those annoying people. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for the church. Grateful for the sinner. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Now, John, or to do a little.
Okay. Grateful, grateful, grateful. So, what was... Oh, that's right. Grateful. Grateful for this doohickey here. That's this thing. You know, what's wonderful about Reverend Karen's message today is it doesn't remain here, right? She sent us out with a little, I wouldn't call it a job to do, an opportunity for us to look at things. And I always think we come here on a Sunday morning, and this teaching is not a Sunday morning teaching, right? It's a teaching of life. And so the ability to take it into our lives, and Reverend Karen gave us a little opportunity to do that, and we have another one that we do to take whatever you heard, whatever you received today in your mind and in your heart, and start activating it in your life. And so that's what this little ritual that we do is. I'm going to read a little section here. We're going to pass this plate, and I will start. And my suggestion is, even if you put a penny in, and if you don't, who has pennies anymore? If you don't have a penny, just stand for a minute. Be there in the energy that we know is present, that we call God or the universe or whatever. Let that be with you. Give from your heart. Everything in nature moves in circles. What goes out must come back. Unless the seed is sown, it cannot bear fruit. There must be a planting time for every harvest. Those who give all receive all. Those who refuse to give, the possibility of the greater good return. Those who refuse to give limit the possibility of the greater good returning to them. Love, and you will be loved. Extend joy, and you will become more joyful. Everything in nature moves in circles. What goes out must come back.
Everything in nature is a circle. What goes out must come back. Let's not limit. Let's not limit. Let's not limit the good that can be turned to us. Let's not limit. Let's not limit. Let's not limit what can be turned to us. Grateful, grateful, grateful. Yes, I'm grateful. For the message, grateful for the message, grateful, yes I'm grateful, So the circle is,
I was going to say complete, but it's not complete. It only opens right here, right now. So I hope that all of you continue this circle into your lives. All of us, that's what this center is about. The energy is present. We carry it with us. We know it. We affect our own lives and the lives around us. This is the law of giving and receiving by Deepak Chopra. I will make a commitment to keep wealth circulating in my life by giving and receiving life's most precious gifts, the gift of caring, affection, appreciation, and love. Each time I meet someone, I will silently wish them happiness, joy, and laughter.
Okay, so this word is being spoken for each one. More. The divine more is creating more of its goodness in, through, and as each one. More love, more life, more health and vitality, more energy, more clarity, more goodness, more support, more joy, health, harmony, peace, more power, more good ideas, more opportunities to express these good ideas, and more delightful friends and companions with which to share this more and more good. I am grateful that this is the truth. Release this word to the law. Grateful it is done, and so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
will the circle be unbroken by and by, oh by and by. There's a better world to build in. We can build it, you and I. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, more by and by? There's a better world to build in. We can know it, you and I.
Okay, that concludes our official service of this morning. I hope that you enjoyed it and come back next time. Bye-bye.